Good morning, everyone. I wanted to make this video just to encourage anyone who needs encouragement today. Going through a really hard time. It doesn't matter what it is, whether you have financial stress, social, physical, whatever it is. I just want to encourage you to not give up. As long as you don't quit, everything can be changed, everything can be fixed, everything can be better eventually, as long as you don't quit. I want to tell you a story. I've had a lot of really bad things happen to me in my life. I've been molested as a child. I was a drug addict for 17 years on Oxycontin, almost lost my life. I've been arrested 7 times because of that addiction. I am free from it now for many years, and I'm very proud of that fact, because I know a lot of people that didn't make it out, a lot of people that are still addicted or died. But I kept believing I could beat that monster, and I did. I went crazy. I've attempted suicide twice, and thankfully God didn't let that be my end. I've lost everything in a wildfire. Left in the middle of the night, 3 in the morning, we got a knock on the door and had to evacuate with fire behind us. It wasn't my worst day. My worst day was in early April, this week actually, in 2016. I fell off the pier in Panama City Beach shortly after sunset. I was doing something I shouldn't have been doing, somewhere I shouldn't have been, for a reason I shouldn't have been there. And it was like, my number was up. I fell off the pier into 67-degree water and 3-foot seas with a falling tide. The pier in that town where I grew up is a 1/4 of a mile long, so I was already over 1,000 feet off the beach when I hit the water. I was pulled by the tide way offshore, so far that they actually sent the Coast Guard to try to find me. So about 30 minutes after hitting the water, I think, a Coast Guard cutter stopped on the horizon beyond me and turned on their searchlight, and they searched for me for a few minutes, but they couldn't see me because I was just out of the range of their spotlight, and I was a man treading water in between 3-foot swells. So every time I could, would take my energy and push myself up as far as I could, wave my hands in the air. But I was wearing dark flannel jacket, jeans, and boots, so I blended in very well. The saddest sound I've ever heard was when that Coast Guard boat fired up its diesels to head back to port. I was all alone. There is no silence like the silence of floating alone in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. I was sure I was dead that day. Knew it in my heart. I was tired. By this point, I'd been in the water about an hour. I was getting very cold and just worn out. And I was sure I was gonna die. And I could hear God, the universe, whatever you call it, inside of me saying, don't quit, don't quit, don't quit. And I remember mumbling in my exhaustion, I'm tired, I just need to take a break. So I quit treading water for a few seconds, and I sank a long ways. I sank. And fire rose up inside of me. And I, with everything in me, kicked and pushed as hard as I could several times to break the surface of the water. And I said out loud, I might die tonight, but I'm not dying here. And I started swimming. I was swimming because I still believed I was going to die. But I could not think of anything else except my wife and my family. And I did not want them to get the news and have unanswered questions. I didn't want them to wonder what happened. I wanted to at least get myself to the point that the waves would wash me in and I would be found the next day. That was literally my only thought. So as I started swimming, I thought about my mentor, Steve Burdishaw, who owns a bike shop in my hometown, and he coaches the local swim team. And I just kept thinking about what would Steve tell me to do. And all I could really think was don't exhaust one muscle group. So I switched between different muscles, different swim patterns. So I would swim freestyle for a little while till I got tired. Now, I grew up surfing. I grew up in this water. I am very comfortable in the Gulf, in surf and heavy seas and tides. I'm very comfortable, but I was tired. I was weighted down. I was cold. I was exhausted. But I knew if I could just not totally wear myself out, I had a chance. So I'd swim freestyle for a little while. I'd swim under the water for a little bit to get beyond the waves and the noise, give myself a little silence for a few seconds. And then I'd swim on my back. At one point I remember floating on my back, just floating and just casually moving myself along just to rest. You know, it was mostly just trying to catch my breath, give myself a break, staring at the stars, nothing else around. And then I'd go back to swimming. I remember once I got to the breakers, I got to the sandbar where the surf breaks, which is still, 50, 60 yards off the beach probably. And I could hear them. So it gave me a little more energy. I started swimming a little harder. And then once I started feeling the push, I knew I've got this. I'm going to at least hit the beach. Now by this point I was hypothermic. I could not open my eyes. My hands were becoming shut because that's what happens when you get hypothermic. I couldn't see anything. I could only hear at this point, and I knew the waves are breaking that way, keep swimming that way. So I did. The last thing I remember was feeling the sand on my knees in the shore break. I got to my hands and knees. I could feel the sand in my hands, and I was clenching that sand. And I heard a voice on the beach hollering out to me, "Keep coming, you're almost here. Keep coming, you're almost here." And I thought I said, I'm sure he couldn't hear it, but I said, "I can't come any further, you have to come get me." And I collapsed in the surf, right just a few feet off of the beach. I had made it, but I was also unconscious with a core temperature of 93 degrees. Fortunately, one beach patrol officer, who I've still never met, believed that night that I had not died yet. And he stayed in his truck and for 3 hours, y'all, inched down that beach looking for any sign of anyone coming in. He actually pulled me in near Sandpiper Beacon Beach Resort, which is exactly a mile down the beach from the pier that I fell off of. So I know, with a little math, how long and how far I was in the water. I shouldn't have made it. But that one man also listened to his heart, and he believed. I'm alive today for two reasons. One, I didn't give up. And two, another person didn't give up on me. That's what it's about, y'all. That's all it's about. It doesn't matter what your job is. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter what status your family has or how many followers you have on social media. All that matters is that you don't give up, and you don't give up on others. All we have is each other. Life is hard enough without making it harder for another person. There's a saying, your worst day is your worst day. It doesn't matter, again, what your life status is, where you are on the chain. Doesn't matter. Your worst day was your worst day. but it doesn't have to be your last day. That's what I want you to get today. No matter what you're facing, just keep swimming. Because life can be good. I can't swim that far, but I could when I had to. So if you think you're at your limit, you're not. Keep pushing. You got this. If you need someone to talk to, I'm here. Reach out. I'd love to give you some encouragement. Have a great day.